What if one man's mind held the key to shortening World War II by years, saving millions of lives? Dive into the extraordinary story of Alan Turing, the mathematical genius who cracked the infamous Enigma code. This isn't just history. It's a thrilling journey into the mind that changed everything, all while sharpening your listening skills. Alan Turing, the Enigma machine breaker, made by Tell.
The Brilliant Boy. On a quiet summer day in 1912, in the busy city of London, a boy was born who would change the world forever. His name was Alan Matheson Turing. From his very first years, Alan was not like other children. While his friends played with toys, young Alan played with numbers. While they read simple books, he studied mathematics books that even adults found difficult. At school, his teachers were amazed. He could solve math problems faster than anyone. But Alan was also different in other ways. He was shy and quiet. He preferred thinking alone to talking with others. His mother often found him in his room, working on puzzles and writing strange symbols on paper. "What are you doing, Alan?" she would ask. "I'm creating a secret language," he would answer with bright eyes. "Only I can understand it." Even as a boy, Alan loved secrets and codes. He would write messages to his friends using special symbols. He made puzzles that no one else could solve. His mind worked like a powerful machine, always thinking, always questioning. At university, Alan studied mathematics. His professors said he was the brightest student they had ever seen. But Alan was interested in more than just numbers. He wondered, can machines think like humans? Can they solve problems and make decisions? These questions would change his life and change the world. The mysterious machine. In Germany, there was a machine that looked like a typewriter. But this was no ordinary typewriter. This was the Enigma machine, the most secret weapon of World War II. Every day, German soldiers used Enigma machines to send messages. But these messages were not normal words. The machine changed every letter into a different letter. A became K, B became Z, C became M. Every message became a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. The German Army, Navy, and Air Force all used Enigma machines. They sent thousands of secret messages every day. They told their submarines where to attack ships. They told their planes where to bomb cities. They planned their battles using these coded messages. The British government was desperate. They could hear the German messages, but they could not understand them. It was like listening to a foreign language that no one in the world could speak. "If we could read their messages," said Winston Churchill, "we could win this war. We could save thousands of lives." But the Enigma code seemed unbreakable. The machine had millions and millions of possible settings. Even if a person worked day and night for their entire life, they could never try all the possibilities. Many brilliant people had tried to break the code. All had failed. Then someone remembered the shy, brilliant young man named Alan Turing. The call to war. In 1939, a secret letter arrived at Alan's door. The British government needed him. They needed his brilliant mind for the most important mission of the war. "We cannot tell you much," said the man in the dark coat. "But your country needs you. You will work with other brilliant people on a very secret project." Alan traveled to Bletchley Park, a quiet place in the English countryside. From the outside, it looked like a peaceful mansion. But inside, it was full of Britain's greatest minds, mathematicians, linguists, chess champions, and puzzle experts. "Welcome to our secret world," said Commander Denniston, the man in charge. "Here, we fight the war with our brains, not with guns." Alan met his new teammates. There was Gordon Welchman, a brilliant mathematician. There was Joan Clark, one of the smartest women in England. There were dozens of others, all sworn to secrecy. They showed Alan the German messages they had captured. Pages and pages of strange letters that made no sense. QPW Cal Z HV QCY TPQW SIEMOA. "This is what we're fighting against," they explained. "Every day, the Germans send hundreds of messages like this. Ships are sinking, cities are being bombed, and soldiers are dying because we cannot read these codes." Alan studied the messages carefully. His eyes grew bright with excitement. This was the greatest puzzle he had ever seen. "I can break this," he said quietly. "I know I can." Cracking the code. Alan worked 18 hours a day. He studied every German message, looking for patterns and clues. He filled notebooks with calculations and ideas. The other codebreakers thought he was crazy. Alan had strange habits. He chained his coffee mug to the radiator so no one would steal it. He sometimes wore a gas mask while riding his bicycle because of his allergies. But Alan's strange mind saw things others could not see. "The Germans make mistakes," he told his team. "Every message ends the same way. Heil Hitler. If I can find that pattern, I can work backwards." Alan designed a new machine to fight the Enigma machine. He called it the bomb. It was a giant machine with spinning wheels and thousands of wires. It could test thousands of possible code settings every hour. For months, the bomb failed. The German code was still too strong. Alan worked day and night, making changes and improvements. Then, on a cold morning in 1940, something amazing happened. The bomb stopped spinning. Lights flashed. The machine had found the answer. "We did it!" shouted Joan. "We broke the code!" The team rushed to decode their first German message. Slowly, German words appeared. "Attack convoy at dawn. Position 52. 5 north, 1, 3 west." Alan smiled. For the first time in the war, they could read the enemy's secrets. The impossible had become possible. Changing the war. Now the British could read German messages every day. They learned where German submarines would attack. They discovered which cities the Germans planned to bomb. They knew the enemy's plans before the enemy acted. But keeping the secret was the hardest part. If the Germans discovered that their code was broken, they would change their machines. All of Alan's work would be lost. So the British had to be very careful. They could not save every ship or stop every attack. If they did, the Germans would become suspicious. Sometimes they had to let bad things happen to protect the bigger secret. It was a terrible choice, but it worked. The Germans never suspected that their unbreakable code was being read every day. The information from Enigma helped win many important battles. In the Atlantic Ocean, British ships could avoid German submarines. In North Africa, British forces knew exactly where German tanks would attack. Historians believe that breaking the Enigma code shortened the war by 2 to 4 years. This meant that millions of lives were saved. But Alan and his team could tell no one. Their work was so secret that even their families did not know what they were doing. For years, they carried the weight of their secret success. Alan had used his brilliant mind to help win the greatest war in history. But his greatest challenges were still to come. After the victory, when the war ended in 1945, Alan could not celebrate like everyone else. His work was still secret. He had to pretend that he had spent the war doing boring government work. But Alan's mind was already thinking about the future. During the war, he had built machines that could solve problems. Now he wondered, can machines think like humans? Alan began working on the first modern computers. These early computers were huge. They filled entire rooms. But Alan could see their amazing potential. One day, he told his friends, machines will be able to play chess, write poetry, and have conversations with humans. They will be able to learn and solve problems just like we do. Most people thought Alan's ideas were impossible, but he continued his work. He wrote about thinking machines and artificial intelligence long before anyone else. Unfortunately, Alan's personal life became very difficult. In the 1950s, it was illegal in Britain to be homosexual. When the police discovered it, Alan was arrested and put on trial. He lost his job with the government and could no longer work on secret projects. The brilliant man who had helped save his country was now treated like a criminal. For many years, Alan's amazing work remained secret. Most people did not know that this shy, brilliant man had helped win the war. The legacy lives on. Today, the world finally knows the truth about Alan Turing. We know that he was a hero who helped save millions of lives. We know that he was a genius who saw the future before anyone else. Every computer you use today exists because of Alan's ideas. Every smartphone, every video game, every website, they all trace back to the theories that Alan developed more than 70 years ago. The field of artificial intelligence, which Alan predicted, is now changing our world. We have machines that can recognize faces, translate languages, and even create art. Alan's dream of thinking machines is becoming reality. In 2009, the British government officially apologized for how they treated Alan. In 2013, Queen Elizabeth II gave him a royal pardon. Statues and memorials now honor his memory around the world. But perhaps the greatest memorial to Alan Turing is the digital world we live in today. Every time you use a computer, send an email, or search the internet, you are using ideas that first lived in the mind of a shy, brilliant boy who loved puzzles. Alan Turing proved that one person's mind can change the course of history. He showed us that thinking differently is not a weakness. It is a superpower. His story reminds us that the greatest heroes are not always the ones who fight with swords or guns. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who fight with their minds, solving impossible problems and dreaming of a better future. The boy who created secret languages grew up to crack the most important code in history, and in doing so, he helped create the modern world we know today.
Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe to English Tell, and let's learn English through amazing stories together.